All right, joining us on Pirate Radio Live, host of the Holton Ahlers Show, former Pirate QB, my co-host on the U.S. Sailor Fifth Quarter Call-In Show. He is Holton Ahlers, looking smart with the glasses today. What's
Yeah,
up,
just
Holton?
noticed I had my blue light glasses on. Flip chart I was working.
No, you look
I
good.
took
You
those
look good.
off. Yeah. So not smart though. Not smart.
Hold, man, big week, big game feel, and they're adding a little bit to it at Dowdy Ficklin Stadium with some some fireworks, a flyover. So they're going to make it feel like a big game. It's up to the Pirates to live up to their part, but as the former player, this one's got to get your juices flowing a little bit, right?
Oh, it does for sure. I mean, it's the biggest game of the year. Obviously, it's this week's game. That's what everyone says. No, it's the biggest game of the year because we could really set the tone for the rest of the year if we go win this. I mean, you go into conference play, 3-1 with a play or two away from possibly beating NC State. Like that's a good resume that you're building. So obviously, we have a really good conference schedule. We're going to play other good teams, but BYU is a national brand, and they're big. They're the biggest national brand we're playing all year, other than NC State. So it's a big game for us. It's a big game. It's obviously under the lights. Hopefully a great crowd. Obviously BYU, they travel really really well. It's going to be on ESPN2, so should be a good one, man. I'm really really excited. I'm excited to go. I'm excited to do the fifth quarter after, and hopefully have some good things to talk about.
When you took on BYU, Holton, did you notice anything physically about them? Like I guess the thing people say is they're bigger, they're physical, they're disciplined, intelligent. Like, did you notice the physicality or just the sheer size when you're out there?
Yeah, no, I noticed for sure. Like their fronts are always been big. They always got fast linebackers. They usually have pretty good athletes at in the secondary. Yeah, I did notice that. I mean, they're in just that BYU's usually older too. I mean, they got guys that are 25, 26. I don't know about this exact team. I know when we went there in 22, they had a bunch of older guys on that team. That's historically what BYU is. So yeah, look, you got to go in there and you just got to be your best self. Like I think win a game like this, Caton's going to have a good game. JDB is going to have to call a good game and get these guys into rhythm early. And then, I said it on the podcast, at some point in these big games, we don't need – a lot of people have talked about explosive runs, and we've talked about a lot, Clip, on the fifth quarter, even me and Kate have on the podcast. You don't need that many explosive runs to be a good offense. You can tell we got a good offense. We don't have that many explosive runs outside of the fourth quarter when the games are put away. But what's going to happen is to win big games like this, you're going to have to run the ball in key moments. You saw it versus NC State. We had a 4th-and-1. We opted to throw the ball, which I'm all for. But there's going to come a point in these big games where you have to run it. And I think this week's going to come down to when we have to run the ball, whether it's 1 yard or 2 yards or whatever it is, or in the game when we have the lead and we're trying to, milk out the clock. Like whenever it comes time to run the ball, like that's what's going to separate the game. If we win, if we lose, is if we execute that, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I hope I'm wrong. I'm feeling kind of a state like game from our offense maybe this Saturday where we're just we might be running our heads into a brick wall trying to run against the BYU front, and it's going to come down to Caton and the passing game. Maybe we can hit some runs, but I think we're going to have to rely on our quarterback coming up this Saturday. Holton, what do you think about the offense versus their defense matchup?
Yeah, I mean, the more you look at it, I know they got really good edge players. Me and Jack Powers, he was on the pod this week, former edge player for ECU, went down to BYU with us and beat them. We watched the film. They got really good, quick edge guys. They also got really fast linebackers, kind of what historically BYU has, like I was just talking about. So you're going to have to, I would expect a lot of, bubble screens, which we've been running a lot of tunnel screens early. Pitch and catch if they give it to us, get Caton into rhythm, get the offensive line into rhythm, get those guys tired on the outside. And then in the secondary, look, even if they do have good players, our offense is built to get people open no matter who we're playing. So I am confident in that. It's just going to come down to, if we have time. If you look at us so far, we've only given up 1 sack. Caton's had plenty of time. I think it's going to come down a lot to just play calling. And do we start fast? You can't start slow versus good teams. And if you do, it puts a lot of pressure on the defense, which is more than up for the challenge. But if you want to go out there and dominate a game and have a good chance of getting the lead early and keeping that lead, you got to score early. And that's something that at Coastal and even at NC State that we struggled with. But then we eventually got it going. But you just look at JDB and it's a big game for him. It's a big game for Caton, and I think they're more than up for the task.
Yeah, great number there on the UB stat sheet as far as lack of sacks allowed this year by ECU. Another one we've really harped on, Holton, post game and throughout the week, is turnovers, and East Carolina being in the positive column of turnovers. Part of that is the offense not turning it over. Caden's got the one pick, and that's it. The other part is our defense forcing turnovers. We also saw sacks, tackles for losses really come into play against Coastal Carolina. So how about this defense, Holt? Man, they have been great through 3 weeks, and they're going to be tested. I think NC State's got a pretty good offense, right? So I don't know if this will be their toughest test. BYU does have a freshman quarterback, so there are some things that kind of point to, hey, that this defense should have another solid performance coming up this Saturday.
Yeah, I agree, Cliff. I mean, defense has been very not surprising in a way. Everyone in the offseason, you heard about how good the offense was, even from the defensive guys. You would hear that. I mean, I'm still good buddies with a bunch of them on the team, played with, and a bunch of those guys went to BYU when we beat them in 22. And even in the preseason, they were talking about, dude, our offense is rolling, our offense is rolling. What's been the defense kind of been the storyline in these first couple games? They've looked really good. Like, it's going to come down to, they got a really good running back. They got a great run game. It's going to come down to, can we stop the run? And then, from there, their quarterback, old number 47, he is a very good runner himself. And I said on the podcast this week, I was a freshman starting quarterback at one time, and Caden asked, like, how do you this is his first road start. How do you take the nerves away from that? And I said, look, and he was asking about pitch and catch and, like, easy completions, which, yes, that does. But if I could go back my true freshman year, what really helped me was quarterback runs. I mean, obviously I was a runner, because when you get hit, that's really the first time the nerves leave, is when you get hit for the first time. No matter how old you are, no matter how experienced you are, it feels like the first drive of the game until you get hit. But once you get hit, it's like, all right, let's do this. Got hit. We're done with this. It's first road start. It's going to be a hostile environment. So I would expect some quarterback runs early from them. So it's going to come back. It's going to come down to the defensive front and making him throw the ball. And he can sling it. I've watched the film. But, I think we just stop the run and put it in their freshman quarterback's hands. And, look, if a true freshman goes out there and wins in front of 50,000 on the road, then hats off to him. But if I'm the coach, that's the game plan for me.
Yeah. Holden, you brought up something on the fifth quarter I kind of forgot about. Early on in your career, you were brought in kind of running situations, or they would call running plays for you, like you couldn't throw a football or something. And we saw Mike Wright the other night come in and saw that glimpse of speed, and that looked different. When he ran the ball, it looked different than other guys. And we were talking about it this week on the show, like, man, if he comes in and everybody's keying in on him and he runs it one or two times, that third time Anthony Smith's running down the field, and Mike Wright can throw it and can hit a guy deep. So I don't know. Do we incorporate more of that this week? What do you think we see from Mike Wright in game number 4 for ECU?
Yeah, that's where it's tough, man. I'm not the – I don't want to say I'm not the biggest fan of quarterback individual run plays, because I am, because I was one of those guys many times in my career. But I just hate, like, being one of those guys many times in my career. Like, when you're jogging on the field knowing it's a quarterback run, the defense knows it too. That's not a fun thing to think about as a quarterback, that the defense knows what's coming and you're the one with the ball.
I'm about to get rocked in about 10 seconds.
So, like, that's not the funnest thing in the world. Now, I didn't run a 4.3 like Mike Wright does, so he might feel different about it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I would expect to start putting in pass plays for him, because you got to honor it. I mean, the dude started in the Big Ten and 2 SEC schools. Like, he's more than capable of playing quarterback. And just look, I mean, he got to go out there and have 10 pass attempts. But if he's in 4 plays, let him throw 1 just to make them honor it. Because if not, they're just going to start blitzing everyone. At some point, you're going to have to throw the ball with him just to protect those runs. I mean, he's a crazy athlete. Y'all saw it, last Saturday. And, I think, if they decide to put him in, there will be a decent amount of mix. Now, I wouldn't say a decent amount, a more mix than we've seen, just to protect it. But I don't know how much, you can just use him as a quarterback. I know they put him at different positions, I don't know. That's why JDB gets paid the big bucks, Clipper, and I don't.
Well, we'll check in with Holt pregame on Saturday. We'll talk to him after the game, U.S. Sailor fifth quarter call-in show along with Cade Norman. 2 questions I have. This is a segment called Clip Brock Watched the Commanders and Saw Things he wanted to ask Holton. I don't think I'm overhyping this. I hadn't really seen it anywhere else, but, like, our center had some lollipop snaps the other night to Jane Daniels, which, look, objective number one, get the ball to the quarterback. He did that. But when Micah Parsons is coming off the edge, you got to do everything you can as fast as you can. And when that ball's floating back there, God, it made me mad the other night. How, is that something you talk about, Holton, especially with like elite pass rushers? Like, all right, let's get this thing back there quick so we can get this play going.
Yeah, Clip. I think if you interviewed any of my previous centers, they'd probably say centers. And it sounded like I said centers there. I was probably the most annoying quarterback of all time about that. I would rather it be way over here and on time, or way over here and on time. Me just get the ball than me being waiting on it. My receivers are running routes.
Yeah,
It does affect, like you were talking about, like the pass rush and stuff. Like that hurts the tackles. I mean, it makes me hold the ball. If it's half a second, I hold the ball half a second longer. But the big thing is like the timing of routes.
right.
You work all off season to get the timing of routes where this is the footwork, this is when I throw it, no matter if you're there or not, and you trust the receiver's going to get there. And another Clip, I used to annoy the crap out of is the equipment guys, because you obviously get new students in there snapping the ball and stuff, and I love those guys and appreciate them a lot. They knew that, and I had good relationships with them. But I'd be on them about, hey, this ball better be, as soon as I clap, I want the ball hit me right there. Because it's super important. And even in practice, Clip, like that's when you kind of iron out those skills. So the timing has to be down. And I mean, if you throw anything off half a second, then that's everything. And once you get to, especially the NFL level.
Yeah, I'm trying to pick up like one thing a week that I see in a game that I'm going to ask you about, because that really annoyed me last Thursday.
Yeah, no, that's very annoying, I will say, as a quarterback.
All right, Holt. We'll talk to you on the Bud Light pregame tailgate, and of course, see you for the postgame, and enjoy some Cuccinellas with you.
Can't wait, Flipper. See you.